Hello. Hello. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm stoked to talk to you. Like, for one, Megan had me jacked about it, last month. She's like,
Yeah,
that's my wife. I'm like, man, that's cool. I'm stoked.
Megan's actually here. Hi.
Shut up. Hey, happy birthday. That's incredible. That makes me so happy. Um,
Awesome.
but then I saw also the festival drop the other day
Yeah,
that
we just like put the final announcement out today for the lineup. So
yes, it looks so good. It looks
it's
so
gonna be
good.
cool. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be part of it.
How long has that been in the works?
A few months. November. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because I met Tom and Clint in October. I met Megan in August.
Oh, nice.
And then I met Tom and Clint in October when I jambushed their festival.
I love that. Because you went and played with a bunch of people, right? Like just all over the fest.
Yeah, so I knew a couple of the headliners, and I figured if I was there, I'd wind up playing with them because we played around the country together. And I bought tickets actually to their Monster Mash festival and just showed up and wound up sitting in with like 6 bands on the bill,
Yeah,
which was
that's so
fun.
rad. Who did you sit in with? Joe?
Joe Marcinek and Roosevelt Collier and some local bands like The Reality and Ben Strock and the Full Electric and Cope. So
Nice.
yeah, I just wound up
Rad.
working my way around the bill. And now
Oh,
they've got me as artist at large for this next festival. So I'll be doing the same thing.
that's awesome. That's so cool. And then you've got the pre-party, right? The
Yeah,
Jessica, wait, Jester, just right? Was it
yeah,
Jester?
they're calling it Jessica's Jester Jam. Um, so yeah, in Jacksonville, the weekend before Fool's Engagement, we'll be doing that show with my band. I've got Will Montgomery from Arrested Development and Shane Platten from Melody Trucks Band and Will Score from Bonnie Blue. And then my friends from Colorado are actually on the bill, Future Joy.
Oh, nice.
They were in town while I was in Denver last, and I just kind of connected them with some people I know here to go to jams. And they wound up meeting the people, Tom and Clint. They wound up meeting Tom for Fool's Engagement, and he put them on the festival. So
That's rad.
we're doing the pre-party and the festival now. And
Nice.
Zach from Future Joy, he and I have been in a few bands together. So we've worked together forever.
Yeah, that's so cool. Um, I guess
So
I didn't have you introduce yourself really. I know of you through Megan really. She just like said so many good things. And Joe tagged you in that post, I think is what happened
yes,
initially.
I'm so glad he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
so
so
I've worked
sweet.
in Colorado and in New Orleans and then here now. So, and he'll be on a couple of sets that I'm doing at Fool's
Very
Engagement as well.
Very cool. So, do you want to introduce yourself now, I guess, to the listeners? I usually ask that right away, but I was a little stoked on the situation. So,
I'm Jessica Jones. I'm a singer. I'm a freelance singer from Denver, Colorado. I play with a lot of people. I've got my own group called Chromadonna, and then I do the Jessica Jones Project. And I'm just trying to make it work in a pandemic right now.
no shit. Well, I love that all these people are meeting too, like during
Yes.
this time, because that's been, I think, one of the hardest parts for me is just like not being able to meet like random ass people. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the best parts about festivals and stuff like that. So it's cool that you all have been able to meet despite all of this. And then
Yeah.
I get to talk to you guys.
I love it. And I feel really fortunate to have gained enough connections down here. And my best friend lives here in Jacksonville and just was like, girl, if you need a bedroom to stay in so that you can hustle, I've been down here. This is my 4th time down here since August. I'm in Florida right now.
Yeah, I know. I saw you were there for Megan's birthday, right? Surprise party.
Right. So, and then
Where
it's
was
my,
that at? That looked
so
like a
she
cool
came to
spot.
Jacksonville
Okay.
and we threw her a couple little parties and then we're actually going tomorrow to St. Petersburg. It's my best friend Teresa's birthday. And so we decided to switch it up and brought Megan up here for her birthday. And we're going down to St. Pete for T's birthday and
Nice. That's really cool.
just do some live music and
Yeah.
hang out with some friends.
Yes. You were involved with, I mean, I shouldn't say you were, I'm asking, were you involved with the Women's Empowerment Tour?
That was my tour. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, cool.
Right. So, and that's what you were talking to Megan about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, after I had met Tom at Monster Mash, they wound up putting together a tour for me down here. My birthday is New Year's Eve. So I came back to Florida in December and did a tour with Jason Han and DJ Williams and Ben Atkin from Goose
Nice.
and Shane Platten and Juan Jaman and some really great musicians, SD Loves. And we went around the state. And, you know, my favorite thing to do is bring in everybody I know and just introduce them all and like have a big family jam. So
Yeah.
we got to have some really excellent musicians play with us around Florida. And then they threw me a big birthday party on New Year's Eve with like 10 bands in St. Petersburg.
Shit, that's
It
rad.
was really fun. It was called New Year's Babe. And it was all outdoors, you know, we had a capacity and everything. But it was really fun.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And so necessary, you know,
oh
like
yeah. I've never had a better birthday in my life, which is insane to say because I've like know so many people have had hard birthdays this
yeah,
year. So
yeah,
felt
yeah.
really lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome. Shoot. I was just like you were saying, I like to connect people too, and I recently met with this singer-songwriter named Juliana McDowell, and she's
Okay.
also friends with Joe, and I was like, she like plays in Florida and like up the East Coast to like North Carolina or whatever. And I was like, do you know Jessica Jones? She's like, no. I'm like, but you both know Joe Marcinek and you both play. I'm like, you guys
It's
need to know each
only
other.
yeah, it's only a matter of time, I'm sure.
Yeah, she's rad. So I'm gonna have to connect you guys too, so that you guys can do some
That's great.
festivals and stuff in Florida
Yeah,
or whatever, you know.
I'm
Because
all
I was
about
like, you should have been on Women Empowerment Tour, you know.
and that's what
But
I tried to do is bring as many women onto the stage as I could.
yeah,
You know, that's how
so
it
cool.
started for me.
So when did you start?
I started singing like
Like
oh
obviously your whole life, right? Like we all
I mean, you'd think, I mean, honestly, I started writing when I was young. I started making beats first and then I started singing
okay,
like 13 years ago.
cool.
And I turned it into a full-time career like probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Nice.
Have been freelancing around Colorado in the United States.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen your name around a lot, and I'm from the Midwest, but I just moved to Colorado. Well, it would have been 7 years ago I moved out here, so
Okay.
so I have seen your name around, but I don't think I've ever like caught an act. And so, have
Okay.
you done summer camp?
Nope.
I have
No.
to get there.
Yeah, I would
That
love
would be
to.
rad.
I saw there was here. It looked insane. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
it's always stacked. It's always stacked. It's always so good. But we'll have to
glad
get you in
it's
there.
gonna be come back too.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. They say August, but I'm just like, I'm like holding my breath about it. You know what I mean? I just,
I played like late night jazz fest sets in New Orleans every year, and they're talking October right now, but we're like hoping that that's true, but we're not holding our breath, you know.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, move on when it's time.
Exactly.
I hope to get out to Florida sometime this year. It's cool that you've been spending time out there. I feel like it's calling to me. The more people I talk to, I'm like,
It's open, you know. I got lucky. I got brought down here in August with Jason Han and Dave Watts and like some people from Roosevelt Collier's band and the Heavy Pets. And I got really lucky just falling into connections and luckily my best friend lives in Jacksonville. So I've just been trying to hustle what I could down here since then.
yeah. But stuff's open. Is it open 100%? Just open.
Yeah. So all of the venues that I've been playing in are actually like out of respect for their clientele. They're doing capacities and, you know, temperature checks and masks and
Sure.
but yeah, it's still like technically open now. By county though, there's restrictions, like I'm sure you saw that they're doing Spirit of Suwanee with pods. So that county like requires pods.
Right.
The reason that Fool's Engagement isn't is because they don't require that in that county, but they're still doing distancing, and they've got a capacity so that everybody's got plenty of space if they
Mhm.
want it, you know.
Yeah.
But then again, it's Florida, so people do with that space what they will, you know.
Yeah, and yeah. I was like, I would imagine it's one of these, like, we're gonna put the rules there, but we're not gonna enforce them too hard.
Yeah, I mean, people still go around and tell you to put your mask on, or like I said, they're doing temperature checks and they're trying to make sure everybody's healthy coming in.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can enforce everything even within the pod system, but then when people go back to their campsites, it's like,
Right.
what are you gonna do? You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And it is, I mean, that's totally where you stop it. Like, that's such an easy thing to stop. Like, I'm sorry, you have a fever. Goodbye.
You
You
know, and
know?
they'll issue refunds for anybody who gets turned away. They're not trying to hurt anyone's feelings or like screw anybody out of their money or anything, but
Right.
they want to keep their patrons safe. And that's
Yeah.
really important because we all want all of this to come back. You know, they're talking
Yes.
about Red Rocks being able to come back to 80% capacity possibly by July.
That seems early.
Thing. I know that's a lofty goal for Colorado, knowing how things are going in Colorado right now, but
Mhm.
that would be great.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I'm down. I'm ready.
I'd love it.
I'm like, I'm one of those assholes. Well, and I always say, like, I think I had it, but it was too early for testing.
Oh,
You
I
know what I
definitely
mean?
had. Yeah.
Like, it was in March. I had it the first week of March. I had it. No, so like there was
Yeah.
no testing out yet. You know, shit didn't shut down for like 2 weeks after that, you know? So
Right. Oh yeah, I had it in December of 2019. Um, Again, they didn't even know it was in the country yet.
mhm.
People were like, "How did you get it so early?" And I'm like, "'Cause I was
'Cause it's
playing."
been around.
Yeah, and I was playing in bars, casinos,
Right.
resorts, restaurants, like licking the sidewalk of downtown Denver every week, hugging homeless people. You know, like I had
Yes.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I'm like, I don't know. I'm really pretty how would you say liberal with like who I smoke weed with and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't really I mean, it's just a thing that I've always done, right? So now I think about it a little more because of all
Yeah.
this and I'm like, "Oh, that's weird. I did yeah, we were spreading a lot of germs, but at the same
And I
time,
feel
I don't get
awful
sick."
because I know that I was still running jams and stuff.
Mhm.
Like I had like, you know, pneumonia.
Right.
And I
Right.
was like sleeping 16 hours a day and still like
Yes.
getting up and like going to gigs. So
Mhm.
for lack of better knowledge, I'm sure I was spreading it to people without
Right,
knowing.
and when you feel shitty, you don't want everyone else to feel you know, like, you're not
No,
trying to
and
get other
I
people
always use
sick.
my own mic and like, you know, if I'm not feeling good, like I always kind of keep my distance on stage from people anyway. So luckily that was kind of my protocol, but it's still like looking back on it, it's horrifying to know.
Yeah,
Like, that's pretty much what we were all doing, you know. I mean, people
absolutely.
Jam crews with the crud, you know, we didn't know what to, everyone was just sick as shit. Like they are every year when they come back from Jam Cruise.
Yeah, it's the wook flu, bro, like, what do everyone gets it, everyone gets it. It's like lack of sleep mixed with, like, too much yelling and maybe too many party accessories.
Yeah, all of that.
So it's like, "Oh, shit, I'm sick? I didn't think I was actually sick. I thought I just had,
Right,
you know, whatever."
right. Just thought it
But
was a cold for a while. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, what can you do? You know, like that's part of life, I suppose.
I mean, I really try to be safe when I'm in public.
Right.
Um, but you know, once I get around people that I know and have been around, or you know, I'm on stage with other musicians that I've been playing with for a while, we take our masks off. And
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of people that are looking down on that. You know, I have a lot of friends being a lot safer than that. And um, I try to have a lot of respect for people that I want to protect. And I also need to make money, you
Yeah,
know?
and like have a personal life and like you know,
Yeah.
like it's not healthy for everyone to be isolated. It's really not. Like that is a major reason for most addiction, right?
Yeah.
Is like loneliness and
Right.
depression and everything.
Right.
You know, they proved it with rats. So it's like we're I you have to take those people into consideration at some point. And also, like you said, you know, you keep other people safe. Like you're not going like I don't go to the grocery store maskless or like get all close to
Right.
people or whatever, you know what I mean? But if
Exactly.
it's people I know, so for one, I know their medical history. Like I know the people I know who I'm seeing maskless, right? Are like my best friends that I've had for 10 years that I'm not going to be afraid to be around, for one. And for two, I know that they've had it, they've been exposed or whatever, they've gotten tested positive, you know, like that's well behind us. So it's like we all know, at least you know each other's history or whatever. So at least it's like safe in that regard. And then, like you said, like you're not doing that in public, like you're
Right.
taking care of other people who,
Right.
you know,
I mean, I wear a mask in public and or don't go out. You know,
yeah, exactly.
whenever I'm in Denver, I just quarantine, like, period.
Yeah.
Or the last time I was there, I went home for 3 weeks, had this video shoot with an agency with like dozens of the best Colorado musicians, you know, and I just stayed home for 2 weeks before I went to that. I was like, I know that I've been in Florida. I know that these people are probably a little worried about it, you know, so I just made sure to like take all my precautions and just stay home until that and
Yeah.
later.
That's rad. That's the way to do it, I think. You know, use personal discretion, but be respectful or
But
whatever.
like when I'm in Florida, it's like when in Rome. And you know, there are venues here that are super strict, you know, like just tables only. You can't just like walk around without a mask on. And then there's other places where the staff doesn't wear masks, you know, it just depends on the venue.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it is. I mean, you know, but that's how it is in Fort Collins right now, is that
Oh,
you,
really?
yeah, you can only do like tables, and you can't even walk around at all except for to go to the bathroom, and if you do, you have to have a mask on.
Right.
You know, and it's like socially distant, you know, like it's way small capacity. I can't remember what they might be to 20% by now, but
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know if they're even that far. And I'm
Okay.
like, can we make this go a little faster?
Yeah. I mean, but I also get it. We're in a global pandemic. Like I got sick as shit. I get it. Like people are dying.
Yeah. Oh, it sucks. It was terrible, you know, like I understand that totally. I
Yeah.
just, you know, I can't wait to have my own land and be able to.
Girl. Just be able to do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to that woman Juliana about. And that's the other thing I wanted to say was she was playing with Jason Han, which that's why I thought of her. I was like, wait, you guys are doing the same shit with Jason Han. Like you guys should know each other, you know, you have the same buddies, Joe Marcinick and Jason Han and whatever. So shit, now I just got she has like 7 acres. So she hosted her own festival in Virginia this summer, and I can't remember what it was, but she like got a deal on the sound system. So she only paid like $3,000 for like $100,000 sound system,
Girl.
shit like that. I was like, wow, that's
Wow.
cool. Yeah. But
Really
her
cool.
place was fancy as shit, dude.
Very cool.
Juliana, your house is gorgeous. And I was too embarrassed to say it that night, but I'll say it now. Her house is gorgeous. I was just like, like just watching behind her, like, wow, that's cool. And then she's telling me she did her own festival. I'm like, that's so fucking rad. And that's what I
Oh,
want
that's
to do.
killer.
Yeah.
In
I'm like,
Virginia.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Cause she said she does summers in Virginia, and then she kind of wanders around that whole area. And then she does winters in Key West.
Oh, wow. That's ballin'. Did she have DJ Williams on that project?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I didn't even get a chance to talk to her that much about it. I was just like, that's so rad, you know, but
Yeah, that's really rad.
yeah, I can't, she called it oh God, nope. I'm not going to be able to remember it. I'll have to go back and look, but yeah, Juliana McDowell. So you should know
Okay.
each other because you get,
Yeah, I want to check her out.
these are
But
cool things happening. Huh?
good to meet you.
Yes. Oh man. Okay. So when I started the show, George Floyd had just been murdered, and
Oh, yeah.
then all this stuff came out about Base Nectar and his shit. And so it just felt like there was a whole lot of social justice issues going on, but it was mixed with this cancel culture, which I think is also problematic because then people they don't get the opportunity or the space to grow or whatever, learn.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I was just trying to create a platform where women could talk about their experiences in music and their triumphs, traumas, or just their evolution. Like, because some people have really interesting stories. Like, they didn't just start out, as what they're doing now. They took like a windy road to it. So like triumphs, traumas, evolution, do any of those stand out to you where you have like a good story or something you'd like to share?
Oh, it's funny that you should mention cancel culture, because it actually came about for me in an interesting way, that I wound up having to out my best friend for raping 2 women, and he and I were in 5 bands together.
I just got goosebumps.
It was a lot, girl. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And I originally tried to stay out of it because I didn't want to be a part of cancel culture, but after the second woman was assaulted after sitting in with one of my bands, I felt the need to speak up and say something. And it really changed a lot for me. And I remember being told, like, I'll never work in this town again. And, it's interesting how it snowballed into an empowerment for other women to speak up, because I spoke up because somebody spoke up, and then somebody else spoke up because I spoke up. And eventually that guy stopped playing music in Denver. And I'm not like super proud of it. It's not like my shining moment or anything, but I just felt like it was something I had to do. I went to this like expeditionary high school, and it was based on the Aboriginal walkabout system. And instead of like grades, we had to do these big projects. And one of the projects was called an adventure passage, an adventure project. And the point of it was to do something that would so hard it'd be easier if you didn't do it.
Oh.
And that was kind of like a thing for me. I was like, look, it'd be a lot easier for me if I never said anything about this. And
no shit.
And unfortunately I did after the first woman came to me, and I never spoke up until the second woman did. And I learned a lot about believing women, because that was a big one for me. Was like, I felt like such a strong woman and empowered and all this shit. And then I'm like keeping other women down by not believing them when they come to me to tell me shit. And, I just learned a lot about how hard it is for women to come forward about that kind of thing. And how eager some people are to like believe that I was the villain first, for saying anything. And it was a hard lesson, but I don't regret doing it. But that, in some ways was a big evolution of my career, because it kind of snowballed me into taking charge of my own bands and my own lineups, and taking bigger risks with lineups, and being bold enough to book shows without a lineup, and then putting the lineup together and things like that, where I was always too afraid to do that kind of thing before. And I learned the hard way, like that's what I needed to do.
Yeah. And that I guess I would say that cancel culture does have its place. Like, I think there is a need to say like, this is a bad person or a dangerous person or whatever, so that people are aware, right? Like, that's a reason why sexual predators have to announce themselves if they move into a community or whatever.
I mean, there's a reason that so many women have a sexual assault story, but most men have never sexually assaulted anybody.
Yeah.
Because there are some people that just are serial assaulters.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, when you're in an environment like the music scene where substances are involved.
What?
He said cheese present's about to be. No, we did not.
Okay, so it's about to be my girl's birthday.
Hi. Hello. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Woo.
Camera, just cheese presents.
So I don't know what's happening, but you're gonna find out just as soon as I do.
I'm into it. This is fun.
We're all full of surprises around here tonight, guys.
It's good. It's good. And lighten the mood. Cause like really that sucks that shit happens. And I think things are changing, right? Like
Yeah.
it seems like you said, people are more aware of these things and how you have to really be understanding of women and their stories when they do come up.
Asshole. What's going on?
What's going on? You guys?
What the hell is happening?
What's going on? You got a little.
Is that balloons.
I don't know what's happening here. This household is. Girl, I don't make rules around here.
Hey, we do what we can, you know. I had to get one of these because I have.
Shut it up.
Are you
I'm like.
kidding me? Oh shit. I don't even. Oh my god. So.
I can't take it. I'm like, I'll just sit here and watch. I'm gonna.
It's my favorite to sit there and watch.
So.
What you said the other day?
Okay, so yeah, but but I also 100% agree that it goes too far. And for me, this is a very controversial opinion. It's cool. I don't need to talk on this podcast. It's cool. So
My name is April, and I never.
that's
Hi,
my
April. I don't either.
boo, though. That's my boo. So on that note, one of my favorite artists on earth is Michael Jackson, one of the biggest influences I've ever had musically.
Same.
And I understand what has happened surrounding him, and I don't ever want to discount anybody's story, but I also feel like you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And if you're going to cancel all of his music, you're canceling Quincy Jones and all the session players that were on all of his music. And
Yeah, you're canceling American culture.
right. So, some of this is like, we have to like live with this and know what it is, but also Michael Jackson doesn't just represent that to everybody, like his music represents so many things to so many people. I don't know. I personally have a problem like throwing it all out.
Can I tell you, I wrote a paper in the 7th grade about Michael Jackson, and it was about like, was he a wounded child or a monster, basically, because like, hey, those are rad pants.
My pajamas.
I like the pants. That's me all day, dude.
I'm wearing a fucking bathrobe.
You look wonderful. I mean, the bathrobe looks soft as shit.
Shit. I'm listening though. I'm
No,
listening.
you're good. I wrote a paper about Michael Jackson in 7th grade about, was he a monster or a person who was abused as a child who now is confused
Right.
on all aspects of life, basically.
Right.
Not to apologize for that, but like, dude didn't have a good childhood at all, and we
You didn't
know
have a fighting chance.
yeah. So it's like, what about the parents who sent their kids to stay with him with no supervision? You know what I mean? Like, what about the parents that thought that was a safe situation? Like, they should be held accountable if nothing else. But anyway, I'm not apologizing for Michael Jackson, but he was a huge.
He knew how to make people a star because that's how he was made a star. It's fucked up,
Right.
and I'm not apologizing for that either.
No.
I'm just saying that is what it is. We can't just think of him as a monster because he was in fact abused as well.
Exactly. And manipulated and used, like.
And he was also a genius. I mean, you can be both.
Exactly. Exactly.
And also, if we want to throw him out, then we got to throw out like Jimmy Page and
Jim
fucking
Morrison and
and
yeah,
David Bowie, all these
John
people
Lennon,
14-year-old girls and shit.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley like married his goddamn cousin at 13 and shit, like
right.
Probably. Yeah. Like all these people,
Yeah.
Jerry Lewis, like all these people. fucking around with young girls. And I mean, I'm not cool with any of it, but I also understand that you have to separate the music. Because
Mhm.
otherwise we're just gonna have to. James Brown beat the brakes off of every woman he loved, man. Fucking
Right.
genius. He's still one of my biggest musical influences on this planet.
Right.
Um,
Right. Exactly. And that's a tough pill for people to swallow, I think. But it's like
absolutely.
you you can't deny the artistry. Like you really can't. And we
Right.
also know that a lot of really genius artists are unstable in many different sorts of ways, right? Like they
Yeah.
usually have some sort of personality, something, you know what I mean?
Or
Like
God forbid a drug abuse, you know, or
exactly.
there's so many things.
Right. I mean, look at Van Gogh, one of the most famous artists in the world in history, cut off his own fucking ear.
Right.
Like, come on. This is this is
Right.
kind of par for the course. And it's not, again, not apologizing for it because it's all terrible. It's all terrible, right? We know this.
Yes, absolutely.
But it is like when you grow up listening to these musicians for your entire childhood, every memory you've ever had involves these people. You know what I mean? Like Michael Jackson, my mom used to listen to that shit every Saturday when she was cleaning the house. You know what I mean? Like he was in the car all the time. So like that's what? So now like a major part
You have to
of my
forget
childhood, you know what I mean?
your childhood. Yeah.
Yeah. So now every time I think of Michael Jackson, I'm like, shit, I love this song, but I'm supposed to hate him.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
time. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird world we live in.
But I'm also grateful that like the people are speaking up. You know, I think that's also important. Because the last thing I want people to do is have to suffer through that kind of shit in silence. That's
Absolutely.
what we've done this long.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Beginning of time, we've done that and it didn't work great. So, I mean, because abuse perpetuates abuse ultimately.
Yes. Yeah.
Ending that cycle, as hard as that is,
Yeah.
is important.
Absolutely. Hurt people, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I was trying to explain that to someone too on a previous interview that like because my experience and how I had my first son was very much a non-consensual experience, right? But I was blacked out. So like that I have to take some responsibility for that because I know I was drinking, I was a shit show. I was a shit show. And then I
Yeah,
passed out in my ex-boyfriend's bed. Like we had just broken, you know what I mean? Like
I
so
feel you, but like I've never raped somebody who was passed out.
no, but here's what I'm saying is that if I don't have accountability because I was blacked out, why should he have to be accountable for when he was blacked out? Because I know he was blacked out long before I was. He was an
Okay.
alcoholic. So that's my problem is like, I wouldn't call it that. I would call it two people who have had sex before. So like it's a comfortable space, especially when both parties are blacked out. So I don't know what I did either. I can't say that I said no. I just don't remember it. And because I
Yeah,
was blacked out. And the same for him, like he didn't know, you know what I mean? So it's like I would hate, especially now that he's sober and he's not that like he's not like it's just I would hate to do that to him at this point in time. And
yeah,
that when I was 20, when this was all happening, like that is probably what I would have said, right? Like it was not consensual, it was rape, like, you know, whatever. But now looking at it, I'm like, yeah, but if he had no idea what the fuck was going on either,
yeah.
alcohol is a hell of a drug,
A hell of a drug, girl.
then how can, why is it acceptable for me to be like, you know what I mean? Like, cause I blacked out, so that should be on me, right? And he blacked out, so that's on him. But there has to be some way to, you know, to start.
That's really big of you to take that much responsibility for it, though.
Well, I
You know?
mean, it's true though, right? Like, I didn't get roofied. I didn't
Yeah,
get, you know what I mean? Like that's different, too.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? But like, I genuinely did a ton of shots and played a bunch of beer pong, and then was like, I don't feel great. Can I lay in your bed for a while?
Mhm.
And then it's gone after that, you know? And the way I discovered that we had sex was fucked up too. Uh, would you like to hear or do you want to pass? Because it's TMI.
Girl, I'm here for you.
I mean, it's not, I think it's good for the listeners, you know what I mean? Because this is fucked. Because
100%.
neither of us had any idea. The next morning I woke up because I was on my period. So
Okay.
I woke up the next morning to like take care of that shit and like couldn't get to the tampon. Like it was, and I had to.
And you still got pregnant that way too.
Yes, dude. Yes. Isn't that fucked?
Girl. Oh,
Yes. Yes.
that is the miracle of life, girl.
I know. And the thing is, I would have died if I didn't have my kid. You know,
Yeah.
it really genuinely is the miracle of life because, like I said, I was drinking like a maniac and I was now being introduced to other party
Yeah.
favors that I had no experience with, like raised Catholic, small Indiana town.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden in college and being introduced to all the shit, you know, and like being a dumbass about it because I was so protected as a kid that I didn't know anything about anything, right? You know what I mean? And so like if I didn't get pregnant then I would have died. Like I would have seriously done too much ecstasy.
Wow. Yeah.
So I mean, you know, there's a reason, but it's crazy. But anyway, that's why I'm like, hold on though, because not every situation is so obvious, you know, like sometimes like Bill Cosby drugging people, clearly a fucking predator. My alcoholic ex, who I was sleeping in his bed and we were both blacked out, that's gray. You know what I mean? Like
I feel you.
and it was wrong of him, but it was wrong of, you know, like, I don't know. Weird. But that's why I'm here. Cause I'm like, we have to just talk about it though, you know?
Right.
Like,
And not everything is one way. We have to talk about it. Yeah.
exactly. Every situation, everything is situational. You know what I mean? Like, so some cases are way worse than others, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then when we just cancel everyone without using any discrepancy, you know what I mean?
People don't learn from their mistakes because they just don't even get a chance to like grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean,
well, and that's been my whole thing all along is I'm like, look, dog, if you're willing to like say I'm sorry, I will always work with somebody who's like, I'm sorry, I fucked up. You know, and then I'll be like, okay, all is forgiven. Like, let's move on. Let's figure out how we can move on from this. Yeah. It's the people who are like, no, I'm not going to take any responsibility for this. So it's like, wait a minute. Like, we need to visit this, you know?
Absolutely.
An apology goes a long way in my book. I've forgiven so many people for shit.
Right.
You know?
Oh, and that's the other thing is that like for me, it like coming to that conclusion took 12 years. You know what I mean? Like that was not a thing that I realized like that year or 2 years later. That was literally last summer after 12 years. I was like, finally, like that weight was lifted and I was able to like genuinely forgive him. You know what I mean? And it took that long. So I'm like, I'm here for it. Like, yes, it takes a while, but as long as you're working towards some peace, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly. And that is such a weight that gets lifted too, because you free yourself from that when you forgive as well. But like you do it until they give you the chance to forgive them with an apology.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, so his apology was like literally going sober, you know, when our son was, I think he was 5 by this point. And we had like basically severed, you know, like I wasn't talking, he was maybe seeing his son 1 or 2 times a year, still does, but like, at least now it's like a more, it's a healthier environment anyway, when we communicate or, you know, whatever. But, yeah, we moved out here 7 years ago. So yeah, he was 5 and he sobered up, you know, like got totally sober. And to me, that's an apology. Like to me, he was like heartbroken for basically losing his kid, like, cause he has no part in his life, you know, and he won't because Jude's 12. So like, you know, you miss, even when he was 5, you know, you missed a giant chunk of it, you know? So like to me, getting sober and, you know, apologizing a million times sober. And it's crazy because I would tell him stories about like what would happen when he was wasted, when he was blacked out all the time. And he didn't remember half the shit he did to me. You know what I mean? And so it's really hard to be mad at someone when you start talking with them about like you know, once they're clear-headed, like,
They don't remember it.
yeah,
Yep.
like, you did this to me. Do you not understand like why I have not been able to forgive you? Like, you were terrible, right? And then, because that's after the fact, like he was totally abusive, alcoholic after the fact, right? So that's the thing too, is like, I'm not saying he was a gem, right? He was definitely fucked up, but it was because he was an alcoholic. I think now he's like a way cooler person in all aspects. You know what I mean?
For that. That's
Mm.
wonderful.
Yeah. And so that was the apology, like you said. Like, you have to make a move like that. Like, I'm not saying like find out someone did a terrible, terrible thing and then just let it go. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do the work to show that you have understood why people are upset and you don't want to do that to them again, I guess. You know what I mean?
I'm going to hand you off to Megan for just a second.
Okay.
She's
Hey. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Good. How was your birthday?
It was really fun. Yeah, Jessica fucking put together this whole surprise party, and I've like never in my life been thrown a surprise birthday party. So it was like really cute, like walking in, and like they had like I had done a podcast with our buddies Anton and Billy earlier in the night, and then they picked me up from the podcast and brought me over to this other bar. A couple of our friends were playing a show, and they had like the whole back room like set up with like cakes and like balloons and flowers and all this stuff. And then like they brought me into the room and like everybody like turned lights, yelled surprise and stuff. And I was like, I was crying, like I was teaching, man. Like it was like the sweetest thing ever. I'm normally like in town for my birthday. Like I'm normal like always in CP. And yeah, she's like, just come up here, we'll have fun. And then last Saturday, they had us come out and like it was kind of like Teresa who you met. It was like our like dual birthday party sort of thing, and our buddies put together this like little super jam. And they had us like they bought us like tiaras and stuff like that. Like took me around this bar in tiaras and everything. So it was fun. It was a whole lot of fun. Like I mean, it was definitely a birthday to definitely remember. Like,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's so cool. You looked so blown away in that video. I was like, oh.
Oh my god. Oh dude, I was crying that whole time. I was like sitting there like close to Jess's arms. It was just like balls in my eyes. Like, I was like, thanks girl, my makeup looks real good.
Why didn't you tell me?
Like,
No, that's awesome.
like I'm like going to the bathroom, like fixing like my makeup and stuff. But it was so much fun. And then like now they're coming down to Tampa, we'll see Pete and stuff to do T's birthday. We're gonna have like a whole jam for her down there with a bunch of our friends at like a bar that my cousin works at. So it'll be really fun. We get to have like a double weekend birthday kind of thing. So
Yes, that's awesome. It sounds like so much fun. I was like, man, I wish I was in Florida right now. Like looks so good.
It was fun to come up here to Jacksonville and stuff because I'm not from like I don't really ever come up here or anything like that. But I have like a lot of friends that are musicians that all play up here and everything. So it was really cool to just kind of have like that aspect. Like I got to spend like Monday and Tuesday, like Sunday, Monday with my friends down at St. Pete, and then like I left on Tuesday and I've been here since Tuesday. And then they're like, we have to work, so like you want to just like come down this week the next week. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I guess I can stay up here.
Hey, that's awesome. Good for you guys. That's rad.
Yeah, it's so fun. I love these ladies. They're afraid of having ladies.
Yeah.
She's getting a fucking pinball machine for her birthday. This is so exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Really
so cool. Oh my gosh, this is rad. I feel like I'm at a party right now.
Ratchet. We're in the garage. We hang out here because we're so low that we wake everybody up. So we just hang out here.
I love it. I love it. It's like, and I'm so jealous because what's the temperature?
Oh girl, it's probably about 60 right now.
That's so nice. Like, I need to be warm again, man. I mean, it was 60 this week, but
Plus, she lives in a new neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
So we can just be loud as shit.
I love it. I love it. That's perfect. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't want to eat up your whole night though. And I know you're 2 hours ahead of me. I don't even know what time it is right now. Shit, hold on. My audio is doing something weird. I'm gonna see if I could